All right. Hey, welcome in, everybody. Just give us 1 second and we'll get set up as we wait for people to start to roll in for the second Great Synchronization for the day, our weekly sync. Um, we did do one earlier today. I had a pretty decent turnout. I know that there were a lot of people that were tuned in at the No Kings protest as well. We have seen quite a few videos and we saw some signs and other gatherings. There was a gathering in Trafalgar Square in London, where people plurred for the 5 minutes. And so, yeah, there was definitely a turnout for the weekly sync this morning. So we'll see how the second one goes for this evening. For those of you just joining in, my name is James. I am a thinker, somebody who just likes weird perspectives on things, and I enjoy sharing that information with you guys. So today we are going to be talking about peace under pressure. Um, Most people when they think about peace, they think that peace is very passive, but the truth is that peace isn't about doing nothing. It's control in a system that's constantly trying to trigger reaction. So when people are stressed, the brain activity toward shifts the activity towards the amygdala, and that's the part of the brain responsible for threat detection, and it moves the activity away from the prefrontal cortex, which handles reasoning, empathy, and long-term thinking. So that means the more reactive a situation becomes, the less capable people are of actually solving anything and reasoning safely. So when things escalate, it's just more of an emotion. Not just an emotional response; it's also a biological response. And most systems that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, whether it be social media or the political systems and government, they benefit when people stay in a constant reactive state because reactive people are easier to influence. So, and then this is relevant because nowadays we see a lot of protests, large gatherings. Today was the No Kings protest. And, we hear a lot of people talking about revolution. The revolution is coming, but what we're working on and what we're trying to build and grow isn't a revolution. This is a long-term plan. Revolutions, they are short-term reactions to a long-term problem. We need to actually focus on what comes after the revolution. So revolution is an energy release. Peace is an energy direction. There's actually real research behind this too. Erica Chen, she studied hundreds of resistance movements from 1900 to 2006 and found that nonviolent movements were about twice as likely to succeed as violent ones. The success rate was like a 26% success rate for violent revolutions and 54% success rate for peaceful ones. And it's not because they avoided conflict, but because they allowed for broader participation. When movements stay nonviolent, they attract more diverse groups, including older people, families, and individuals who wouldn't engage in violence. So that scale matters. Violent movements tend to shrink their base and justify stronger opposition, while peaceful movements expand and create pressure through numbers. So it's not about avoiding action, it's about choosing the kind of action that actually scales. Um, and there's a psychology behind all of this. When people gather, something tends to shift. There's a concept from Emil Durkheim called collective effervescence, and it describes how individuals in a group can enter a shared emotional state where they feel connected to something larger than themselves. This isn't abstract, and it's been observed in everything from religious ceremonies to concerts to sporting events. And when people move, speak, or focus together, their sense of identity shifts from a me mentality to a we mentality, and that shift increases cooperation and reduces internal conflict. So keep freezing intermittently. Uh, on Instagram, do you guys are you having any issues with freezing? We're getting some issues over here on TikTok. The less attention we give to them, the healthier and stronger. I don't know why we would be freezing. It's showing a strong connection on our end. Nikita, are you seeing any freezing on TikTok? Okay. So we're not seeing any freezing. I'm not sure what's going on, so I'm just gonna keep trying to keep moving on. So like I was saying, the uh, Modern studies support this, the collective effervescence. Research from Stanford has shown that synchronized activity like chanting and coordinated movement increases trust and cooperation even between strangers. So when people pause together, even briefly, and align their focus, they're not just creating a moment, they're changing how people relate to each other in that space. That's where influence starts to shift. So, we aren't supposed to suppress, we're supposed to redirect. The negative energy doesn't just go away, it moves. Things like stress, anger, frustration, that's all what's called activation energy. And if it's not directed, it spills into reaction, conflict, and burnout. But if it's redirected, even for just a few minutes, it can change the outcome. So, there's consistent research showing that just 5 minutes of controlled breathing and focused attention can significantly reduce cortisol levels and calm the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the fight or flight response. And studies in psychophysiology have shown that slow, intentional breathing can activate the parasympathetic system, which lowers the heart rate and improves emotional regulation. So you're not ignoring the stress, you're stabilizing the response to it. And that's the difference between reacting and responding. So, and everything that we do is based off of the 5 minutes. The idea behind change is just 5 minutes away, because it really truly is. And there is also a ton of studies on this. And the reason why it matters is because people don't change for just one moment. They change from repetition, the repeated 5 minutes every single weekend or every single day. Some people are practicing it every single day. Even research out of the University College of London found that habit formation takes anywhere between 18 to 66 days, depending on the behavior and the individual. The key factor wasn't intensity, it was consistency. Small, repeatable actions were far more effective at creating lasting change than large, occasional efforts. Won't load at all for me. Huh, that's interesting. So we do seem to be having some issues from a couple of different people on TikTok. I do apologize. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Um, but like I was saying, so that's why the 5 minute works. It works because it builds a habit. That habit is key to, any movement. The consistent 5 minutes every single weekend, it's building those habits for people. So it's small enough that people don't resist it, but consistent enough to build something real over time. And, I'm not asking people to become different overnight. I understand that that's an unrealistic expectation. But what I am trying to do is give you guys something that you can actually stick to help see improvements in your life. So, and what we do here at Weird Squared, it's not about leading a group of people, because we are not a organization with leaders. I am simply just here to remind everybody that change is possible. And I know that people don't like being told what to do, but people do respond really well when they realize something for themselves. So that's what we're here for. We're just here to remind people that they already have a choice and that peace is a choice. Um, Psychologically, autonomy is one of the strongest drivers of behavior. So self-determination theory shows that when people feel like they are choosing activation rather than being forced into it. Sorry guys, I have a visitor. This is Maddox. He is one of our kitties. He really enjoys climbing up and headbutting me, so he will pop in and out of our streams every once in a while. Welcome back, Meow. uh, so growth. The whole point behind what we're trying to do is the numbers. I started this whole thing with the idea behind collective intention and collective consciousness, which literally means that the more people that we have involved in this 5 minute pause every weekend, the better. Maddox, stop. You're shaking the camera. Um, the better it'll work, the more impact we'll have. So it only works if it spreads. There's a concept associated with Malcolm Gladwell, but it's also been backed by network science that suggests once a small percentage of the population consistently adopts a behavior, it can spread rapidly through social networks. Some studies estimate that around 10% is enough to create that shift. So if oh, hello from Singapore, Jamie, how are you today? Um, so if we can get 10% of the population involved in terms of doing this regularly, just the one time a week for about what is 66 weeks, uh, just about a year, then it could be something that shifts everything on the face of the planet, because you'll find people just being kinder to each other, really trying to help each other out instead of having so much hate. We know that there's a lot of hate in the world, but a lot of that hate is just directed energy. So even when you're like scrolling on social media and commenting on people's videos or their posts, even that 5 minutes you might take to say something negative is energy that you've chosen to direct at that person for no reason. You don't know, more often than not, the person that's on the other side of the screen or on the other side of the post. And if we want to see change in the world, it starts with us. It starts with how we move through life on a day-to-day basis. Every small choice matters. And, we've already shown that 5 minutes matters for hundreds of thousands of people across the United States and the rest of the planet. Um, and it shows in how many people showed up at the No Kings protest today, and they did the pause, the 5 minute pause. I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, we're seeing tons of videos across all social media platforms with signs that had peace, love, unity, respect on them, videos of creators that, they got together in groups at the protests and they were chanting it anywhere from, we saw some here in the United States, but then also in London. We did have a group that organized around the 5 minute pause, the peace, love, unity, respect in London, and they gathered at Trafalgar Square today. So it's something that we want people to actively choose in their daily life to pause for 5 minutes and practice this peace, love, unity, respect to build that habit. Because all of these, like I said, all of these revolutions, they're short-term reactions to a long-term problem. We have to start thinking about what comes after the short-term problem that we're having, because whether we want to believe it or not, there will be a new president in a couple of years, more than likely. So, um, it's just ever important that we remember that the message that we carry is 100% as important as the movement and the cause behind it. We can't just always talk about what we're fighting against. We need to talk about what we're fighting for. Because ultimately, what we're fighting for is the long-term happiness of people in this world. That's what this is all about. So, yeah. So we did do a great synchronization, a weekly sync this morning for the normal time. For those of you that are in here, this is one that we are having specifically for the people in the Southern Hemisphere, Australia, New Zealand, things like that, that struggled with the very first one. We wanted to make sure that they had a place that was at a time of day that they could join without it having to be the early hours in the morning. So we started to do the second one. Every Saturday we have them at 1 and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So you're welcome to join both or just join the one. But we do encourage people to try to make it into these streams. If you're trying to participate in the 5 minute pause. And the reason why we encourage people is because we want these streams and we want our videos to be places where you guys can connect with each other. Me and Nikita, we're not gatekeepers. We don't believe in preventing people from connecting through our platforms. We actually encourage it. We want not only to grow our platform, but we want you guys to grow your platforms as well and grow what it is that you do, because, success should happen for everybody. It shouldn't be something that's held behind a closed door for everybody. And, this is what me and Nikita have always believed, is just now we actually have the platform to potentially make, some real change when it comes to how content creators operate and how people in the world just kind of move throughout the world and how we interact with each other, um, because we're all the same, whether we want to believe it or not. We just need to, look past the little differences that a lot of people tend to get hung up on. You are very welcome, Farm Mummy. I did feel bad for having you guys wake up at, between, I think it was like 2:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning. But there were a lot of you that were real champs about it and pulled through And we really appreciate that. It shows the dedication, it shows how important that this movement is to some people. But, I wanted to be responsible and be fair to you guys so that we did this one now. And like I said, this is every Saturday. So every Saturday we'll be live at both the times, the 1 and the 9 p.m. Eastern time, and give you guys uh a chance to, find out about me, find out about Nikita, what we're up to over the course of the, coming year or so. Because we do have some things that are in the works, which over the next year we are going to start rolling out. We've had people requesting just a simple newsletter to keep familiar with some of the stuff that we're doing. So that'll be coming soon. We also have a blog that starts on April 1st. I'm going to use that blog really just to relay some of the, more helpful information that I have locked up in my head and that I've researched. And we're going to start with moving from a corporate capitalist culture to a small business renaissance. Basically, how we can slowly wean ourselves off of corporate dependence and move towards helping small businesses grow in a collective manner versus, the constant competition that happens between small businesses. As small businesses, we shouldn't be competing against each other. We should be finding ways to collaborate. Because even if one small business doesn't have something that they can tangibly offer to another small business, what every business has is customers and guests and whatever you want to call them. And, if you guys are sharing those guests and sharing those customers, you just doubled your customer base, which means that you doubled the opportunities to be successful at whatever it is that you do. Business is always going to be a necessity, and we'll never actually be able to thrive as just a barter and trade culture because there's too much to not be trustworthy about in this world. But when it comes to sharing customers and free advertising and things like that, that's how small businesses can ultimately grow and really help out. And us being a global movement versus just confined to one country, you'd be surprised at what people have been able to work out just through like the comments and through meeting each other through the comments in terms of like helping each other out and meeting each other and that's what we're here for. We want to That's Harriet. She is a large cat. She is very content with her weight. We've put her on diets before and she refuses to lose weight. So, she's one of the other cats. We have one more that will never probably show up in the stream. He's not very social, so she is very cute. She actually has one of the most beautiful coat patterns. She has like a very unique gray. It's almost like a shade of like brown, but gray. And then it's got the beige mixed in, and she's got a cute digipaw. So, and then Jobin, he's just white and gray with a mustache. He's got a perfect little mustache on his nose. He's super cute, and you know, yeah. But yeah, so anyways, back to, kind of what we're trying to build. We were talking about we have the weekly sync, but then in May, coming up on May 16th, we are planning another global synchronization event. We're gonna shoot for that 1% of the population that we couldn't get to for the Great Synchronization. We're calling it the Wave, though. And this one is specifically designed to create a rolling wave of energy around the planet. So at 1 p.m., every single time zone, we're going to do the 5-minute pause so that we can try to keep it as open for people to join as possible by keeping it in the middle of the day at 1 p.m. And then it also creates a 24-hour wave of that pause around the planet so that we pause every 5 minutes on the hour. And we, or myself, Nikita's not a very live stream kind of person. She likes the behind the scenes stuff. But um, we're going to be going live for the entire 24 hours. I will be live it'll be Friday at 6 p.m. my time, or I guess Friday at 5 p.m. my time if I go live an hour before. And then every hour on the hour from that point on, People can join into the stream, do their 5 minute pause with everybody that's here. And hopefully we can, get those numbers that we were looking for in the first Great Synchronization. The numbers that I'm aware of for the first one were we had anywhere between 5 and 8 million people participating from 241 countries. So, we made a huge impact on a lot of people, and I want to keep that growth and that momentum going. So, if you're in here and you've seen my videos, just try to watch my videos all the way through. Try to share them, like them. I know that it's one of those things that people are kind of, about, but if we want to continue to make what we do 100% free in terms of no subscriptions, no paywalls, anything like that, then the best way that you can support us is by making sure that you watch our entire video, and liking them, sharing them, commenting on them as much as possible. That alone, if I could get all of my followers to do that all of the time, that alone would make it so that we could continue to do this. You guys would never have to worry about any, information locked behind a paywall or behind a subscription service, because, Facebook eventually could make us enough money to, um, like I said, offer everything for free. Because the only thing that we're mostly concerned about is there are expenses for the website and the hosting service, and then storage space, and then our PC and things like that. So those are the biggest things that we're, always going to be concerned about with the overhead costs, especially considering the traffic on the website has exploded, and that required us to, pay more for a hosting service than we actually wanted to. But it's a good problem to have. It means that there's people constantly flowing through the website. The website's on the screen right above me, weirdsquare.com. And right now it is kind of bare minimum. We are working on trying to get some, additions added to it and get it cleaned up a little bit. Uh, we're going to have that newsletter posted on there. My blog is going to be on there. Blog is on April 1st. The newsletter will probably start around the same time. And in terms of like the newsletter, we're hoping that we can have enough other creators and people that were involved in any of the synchronizations show up and, help out with like pictures or, any experiences that they want to share with everybody, that we would highlight in our newsletter. So it would be a good opportunity for people to get exposure. Um, if that's what they're trying to do, if they're trying to highlight their business or highlight their gathering, their community, whatever it is, we would just need high quality pictures, and then we need to know who took the photos so that we can give them credit, and then a short little story to go with them. So that's going to be coming up. We'll make some posts about that. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Oh, hey, Touch Flow. Hey, how's it going? I don't know if he stayed in here, but Touchflow is he is a rapper from Florida, and Nikita went to college with him. So, we've done some work with him areas. Yeah, we've done some work with him in the past, and looking forward to doing some. Which, by the way, hey, Touchflow, I need you to hit me up. Whenever you got some time. I know you're busy, but you should shoot me a message so we can talk about some things. Obviously, as you can tell, me and Nikita have been busy. We've got quite a bit going on ourselves, and we want you to be a part of it. So just let me know when you got some time. Let's see, Thomas Shell, Thomas, hey from Chicago. How are you today? And Farm Mummy, I appreciate. Yeah, I'm glad that you like the wave idea. Yeah, we a lot of the suggestions that we get, um, we try to make, bring into reality. We try to bring it into fruition, because this is a grassroots movement. It's not about what me or Nikita individually want. It's about what you guys want to do and how you guys want to participate. And, giving you guys that choice of, you participate however you want. That's really what's going to help this grow. We had a graphics designer. She hit us up just after the last stream, and when she had heard what we were trying to do, she didn't know about any of this until today, and she offered to help do flyers and things. So, we're always looking for volunteers, people that are willing to take just a little bit of their time and help get the word out there about the weekly sync and about any of our events that we do. Um, because we're just one account, we're just one creator. There's two of us here, but we do most of everything through our Weird Squared accounts, and Nikita tries to keep her stuff for her personal stuff, and I don't keep a personal social media at anything. So We're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for people that want to be more involved because we do eventually want to grow this into a worldwide organization of people who just are always advocating for peace, people who are trying to actually help move the system in a new direction, one that hasn't been tried before. Because face it, there isn't anywhere in history where violence or a war 100% completely stopped all of the violence or the war. It's just never happened because we still have violence and there's still wars going on every single day. So we can automatically make the assumption that after 250 years of the American empire being around, that war does not solve anything. I did see what happened to the Schumann resonance last Saturday. I saw it when it went purple. I saw it spiked huge right around 1 o'clock. So that was pretty dope. I'm excited to see what it does tomorrow or today from, because we had the No Kings protests and we also have, the synchronizations that are going on, which more and more people are starting to, practice it daily, which is kind of what we had hoped for. I know that I'm to the point I practice it a couple times daily. I know Nikita does too, where we just kind of pause for a few minutes. I'm not sure how often she does it, but I'm always, doing it, just taking 5 minutes to reflect on my day, reflect on my life. Um, and this last month, there's definitely been a few tests in terms of, what's going on in my life from, strangers asking for help or, I've got my kid had gotten into some trouble and, just a bunch of different things that have popped into our lives that have kind of really shown that what we're doing is making a difference. And that's why we want to continue this, and we've been so excited because everybody that was involved, or not everybody, I can't speak for everybody, but a lot of people that have been involved in this, um, have continued to stay involved. And that's what we are really excited to see because that means that the growth is continuing. It means that people are still actively trying to, talk about peace, talk about love, unity, respect. That's where the world needs to head. We've been through the hate, we've been through the war, we've been through all the bad things over and over and over again, and it's at the hands of just a handful of old people, people that have lived their life and another lifetime on top of that, the extremely wealthy, and there's just no point for this anymore. There's just not. There are more people on this planet than just the select couple thousand or whatever there is. And we need to show them that. We can do it and we don't ever have to be violent about it. There are always going to be ways to um, get the system to cave and collapse, but it'd be under the weight of their own ignorance because that's really what it is. It's their own ignorance that is going to cause the system to collapse. They think they're so smart, but all it's going to take is, one person to open their mouth and get enough people convinced that there's a better way, and then they're going to be hurting. I talk about the statistics and the metrics of like social media. The 42 cents an hour is what your attention is worth. If you had everybody that's on social media, which is approximately 1 billion users a month or something, stop using social media even for just a couple hours a day, that's, $420 million dollars in a month, just over an hour of time through 1 billion people. Because consistently, most people use their social media about the same time every week. I know my usage is like 13 hours or something. And I've been trying to cut that back as much as I can, considering I do have to continue to post on Weird Squared and continue to do the live streams and things like that. But I've definitely tried to cut back on not just how much I'm scrolling, but what I'm looking at. I am avidly looking for the people that have followed me and have been sharing the Great Synchronization because I want to share their stories. I want to know about those people. I haven't made it through all of my comments. I haven't made it through all of my messages. I'm not even going to lie. There's so many of them that it's to the point where the amount of time to read them alone is more time than I just have available in my day. It was magical. Met a bunch of cool Ray fam. Touch flow. When do you live? Oh, where do you live? Oh yeah, look at that. Touch flow's making some friends. Um, Yeah, so like I'm always trying to go through all the messages and comments and reach everyone, but it's not realistic for me to actually get to everyone, especially with the content filtering and things like that that go through social media. But just know that I do try, and if I miss somebody or I haven't responded to a message, I don't want anybody to take it personal. But I'm actively trying to find ways to get people to connect with each other, which is another thing that when we first started doing all of this, Nikita had this idea for a calendar that what was it? That it would show like the power days, or it would just kind of tell everyone about the days.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of was a mix of like events people were going to be doing, along with like, good days for alignment.
So, she wants to, or we want to build a calendar that the people can put their events on, for, meditation, yoga, spiritual healing, the events that are built around this 5 minute pause. We would talk with the people who are doing the events or the organizations to make sure that it aligns with what we're actually trying to do. And, we want to make it a place where people can go to, and it wouldn't matter what country you're in, what state you're in, you'd be able to go there and you'd be able to find a place where there are people that are trying to align, people that are trying to sync. And so they have public gatherings or things like that where they might do yoga or meditation or spiritual healing, but it would all be focused around the same time frame though. Because we're not trying to change what people do. We want them to do the same exact thing that they're doing. We want you guys to do your yoga, your meditation, your spiritual healing, your sound healing. We want you to do all of that. But if you are planning events, we just want you to do one on Saturday around the time of the Great Synchronization so that we can get that energy to sync up consistently without requiring people to do anything more than what they already do. And by creating this space for them on our website, it would also allow other people to find those people. So if you have a small business and your small business is a yoga studio, then yeah, and everybody's always looking for more, more business. Well, if you can get people that want to attend these events on the weekends for the Great Synchronization, you've now created room for more people to come in and see your shop or see whatever it is you do. And it's not just like yoga specific or meditation or spiritual healing or anything like that. There can be so many other events because, when I talk about peace, I also mean things like creativity, the release of energy in a way that is positive and meaningful into the world. And creativity is, I appreciate this space. This is a powerful tool for our future. Well, and that's what we're kind of hoping. Me and Nikita will always attempt to look for value for you guys. Obviously I just talk. I just talk and um, basically get people to pause for 5 minutes and reflect on positive things. There isn't really much value in that. So other than the idea, all I can really do is help provide more ways for you guys to connect with each other. Because that's what all of this is about. All of this has been about connection, but it's finding those connections on another level and in places where you might not be exposed to. I believe that culture is important. And what we're doing is we're trying to build on the idea of individuality and, culture and doing it in a way where none of that really will prevent people from being a part of it. If anything, it should be a reason for people to join because they know that it's filled with culture, rich in, different religions and different ways of life because we want to learn from each other. Nobody has all the answers. And the people that claim that they have all the answers are probably the ones that have the least amount of answers because it takes a real ignorant person to believe that they have all the answers. Like, I know I don't have all the answers, but I will always be on a journey to learn as much as I can about each person on this planet until the day I die because I love information and I love people. Like, I hate large gatherings, but man, I love people. I love watching people. I love learning about behavior. I love studying the brain and the mind because human beings are super fascinating. Like, they are some of the most complex creatures, but at the same time, we are so simple. Like, when you think about the fact that we were able to get 5 to 8 million people to join in something simply because it was so simple. But the fact that there are people that resisted just shows how complex humans can be. Because if you're really, against peace, love, unity, respect enough that you are going to publicly claim that on social media, which people have, commented and sent me messages saying, all sorts of things. Um, it just goes to show that not all human beings actually want to get along, or they just lack the capacity to understand why it's important. I talked about this last week, and this Professor Zhang, I think is his name, and he once said that stupid people lack the capacity to understand that they're stupid. Now, if I strip that away and just talk about how people lack the capacity to understand, there's so many things that a lot of people just lack the capacity to understand, and it's not their own fault. It's because of the society that we've grown up in. When you think about how the system has kind of shaped the information that we've been fed for the last 50, 60 years. And they're slowly making it so that people don't think more and more. Critical thinking is more critical than ever now because it's very lacking. The same with like common sense isn't common. It just doesn't exist anymore. People are so tuned to what's on their phone and what's on the television that they just don't think for themselves anymore because they believe that, you know, do they dive into their inner landscape and swim into the interoception of themselves? I have no idea what that question is meant to mean. Um, yeah. Anyways, sorry guys. Yeah, so super excited to keep this moving forward and growing with we've had, like I said, a lot of people that have shown up multiple times, multiple days. They keep, watching our posts. So we're gonna keep going because, obviously what we're trying to do here resonates with a lot of people. And that's the whole point of this is to connect with people. And we want you guys to be able to connect with everybody else too. It's just you'll have to give us time. It was a synonym of the question you asked. I just was saying it in my words. Ah, okay. It's nice just being able to slow down and focus on love for 5 minutes. Well, see, and that's kind of the whole thing. Like, we live in such a fast-paced world. Everything happens so fast. The flow of information happens fast, and nobody really takes the time to slow down and just reflect. You know, it's nice to meet you too, Mushu. Mushulu. I like that name. That's a fun name. Um, Nobody takes the time to slow down and just think about, the positive things in their life. I spent a lot of time this last year learning about coherence or the idea behind coherence in every different aspect. And, I firmly believe that attaining coherence in the mind is one of the most important things, but we can't do it with all the constant noise because noise basically makes it impossible to clear your thoughts and really focus on things that are important. So that's why we choose the 5 minutes to just slow down and focus on four things. Um, we suggested the peace, love, unity, respect. It's never been set in stone. It was just a suggested mantra in hopes that people would make it their own um, because we we we're not trying to limit what people want to bring into their lives. So, if you want to focus, if you're religious and you want to focus on religious things, or if you're struggling in life and you want to focus on things like wealth and happiness, then those are the things that you should be talking about. Those are the things that you should be focusing on. We just choose peace, love, unity, respect because we know that there are four things that just about every single person, hey, what's going on, Hunter? We know that those four things are something that every single person on this planet can agree that they want. They want peace in their life. They want to be loved. They want to be able to unite with their friends and family, and they want to be respected for who they are. The one thing that every person on this planet really wants is acceptance. They want to be accepted somewhere for who they are. And that's why me and Nikita have started this space because, if people can be in a place where they're comfortable being themselves more often, you'd see a lot less people unhappy with their life because happiness is a chemical response to how content you are with your life. Happiness is literally another word for contentment, but they have to call it happiness because there's a chemical response that goes with it. So, and it's really hard to beat that chemical response in terms of if it's there or if it's not there, but it's actually not that hard to focus on the other aspect of it. It's, everything is a choice. Everything in our life is a choice. We choose to be happy with, what's in our life. We're content with what we have. It's just that we've become such a materialistic culture that we focus on things that hold very little intrinsic value inside of us and focus on only the things that hold a value in front of us. Like instant gratification, knowing that you can go to a store and buy something and get that high for a moment. And, it's kind of ruining society. So that's why our focus will always be like creativity and the plur, the peace, love, unity, respect, because those are things that, they cost nothing and they're great outlets of energy that can be translated into all sorts of different things, different messages, different emotions. I love to draw. I didn't draw for a long time, and I finally picked up uh, a pencil the other day and started drawing in one of the live streams. Um, and it was great. I hadn't done it in a long time. It is taking some time to get used to doing it again. I used to do portraits when I was in high school and right out of high school, and kind of fell off when I started being an adult and working, and I know that I definitely want to get back into it because like I said, it's a creative release, and yeah, so that's just kind of where I'm at. What I'm trying to do next is bring the art into the life. I talked to Nikita about doing longer live streams during the week where I'll draw or play Call of Duty, just to kind of mix it up. But ultimately, the message is always going to be, hey guys, there's a better way, and it just means that we gotta try. We gotta choose that peace. We gotta choose that love because that's how we're gonna get through this. We need to move past the differences that are defined by our government systems and by our societies. You know, Mainstream media is terrible for everybody because, if you see it on the news, automatically it's true. But more and more, less and less, that's the case. So, it's not good for our mental health. If we're going to pay attention to what's going on in the world, it's also important that we do our research on what's going on in the world. Because between deepfakes and AI and people just sucking at translating information in a meaningful way, what you see and hear on the news and on social media is only about a small portion true. The rest of it is skewed. It's a narrative. And they create this narrative to keep us in a constant state of reaction. We need to be able to react to everything instead of responding in a controlled way. And that's where we need to get to. We need to get out of that state of reaction, that state of constant manipulation and influence, and move into being able to actually control our responses to the things that happen around us. And then more importantly, control our actions after the fact. Because, we talked about earlier in the stream, the revolution and everything that people talk about right now, the violence, the want to burn the world down, that is a short-term reaction to a long-term problem. We need to think about what's coming after that. What happens after the revolution happens and people are held accountable and justice is served? Well, if we continue down the same course and continue to do the same thing that we're doing, what happens is we fall back into the same patterns because nothing has changed. We haven't changed the system, we've simply just gotten rid of one small portion of it for right now. The same thing happened back in the World War One and World War Two. We didn't actually change anything. The people moved to a different country. The mentality and the ideologies never went away. Thank you so much, Soulful Harmony. How are you today? We appreciate that. Hurt me. Um, Nothing actually changed. We just shifted and hit everything for a little while, and people hid away their ideologies. And then here we are 80 years later, and those people are back. And they are, uh, you know, trying to do the same thing that they did way back then and cleanse society from people that they feel shouldn't be here. And then they do it under the ruse of, oh, well, our culture is dying, the white culture is dying. But what they don't understand is that it's not actually dying. What's happening is that the ideologies that they hold no longer have a place in society because they're outnumbered 100 to 1. And they don't like that. They don't like the fact that they can't be openly racist in public and that they can't, do the things that they want to. And that's just like one side of all of this. Um, there's a whole nother aspect of it in terms of what's going on in the world right now, and we know that it has a lot to do with a certain president. But I, obviously try not to be political. But, between the white ideologies that are being pushed out and they're trying to use hostility and aggression to reel it back in, and then our administration stoking that fire, creating these false flags, creating all of these events that are basically trying to keep us in a state of shock. I made a video probably like 3 weeks ago about how the world is basically going through mass electroshock therapy, where they're sending jolts of information to everybody, and they're doing it repeatedly in an attempt to normalize this behavior, to normalize what's going on. Because there's actually science behind that, that if you provide somebody with enough information, the same information over and over and over again, and it's high stress information, eventually people stop paying attention. They stop, actually paying attention to what's going on, and they're just like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it, nothing we can do about it. But there is always something we can do about it, and that is we need to be vocal. We need to express that we are not happy with the situation, and we need to talk about what we want. We want peace, we want love, we want unity, we want respect. But there's so many other things that we want. We want to build a good future for our children. We want to build a good future for ourselves. We want to be able to earn a decent living. We want to be able to enjoy the small things in life without feeling the pressure. I would love to see us all develop supportive communities that promote a good life for all. And this is the first step. The hardest part about any movement is getting the people involved. It is definitely going to be one of the most complicated things, and that's because people are very particular, very meticulous. They only like what they like. So we stripped everything down specifically for that reason. We are trying to get as many people involved in this all the time because eventually that's what we are going to be talking about. My blog is literally going to talk about building those small communities and putting small businesses first over these large corporations, to stress the corporations enough to get them to start changing their ways. Things like fair wages, reasonable prices on goods, no more wealth inequality. Because those are the things that I think are gonna improve the world, but it's not going to be an easy task to get there. And a lot of people don't realize that it is a challenge to actually make all of that to happen, because you can't rely on politics, especially as long as there's money in politics. Politics have APACs. APACs basically buy the election, and it's decided before we even get a chance to vote. And it's all through how much advertising, what messages are portrayed. So even like the elections are sculpted to, you know, basically have an outcome that they want favorable. It's just now and now for the last 15 years, we really haven't had an election that I would say is legitimate, because you just don't know who was involved. Um, and we can point fingers and name names all day, but until there's actually something done about it, nothing's going to change. Do you think we will need to go back to a bartering system as we rebuild? Only partially. So, trade and barter won't actually fully work because there's a lack of trust between human beings. There's too much of a lack of trust between human beings. And with good reason, a lot of people out there are not trustworthy. But it is something that people should be thinking about right now in their daily lives, especially as the cost of everything is rising. You're always going to find mechanics that are looking for uh, work done for them in other areas, and vice versa. There's always going to be people out there who are looking to trade their skill set for another person's. Like me, I do graphic design. I would gladly do graphic design for anybody in trade for whatever service or they might provide, because it's something that I like to do. Like, I'm one of those people that I often am doing things for people, and when they say, what do I owe you? And I say, whatever you want. This isn't about me being paid. This is about me helping you. I've done some logos and stuff for people that are, and that's basically always been my mentality. Because if I can help, uh, other people grow, um, by the way, thank you, Sweet October, and thank you, Allie, and thank you, Soulful Harmony, for sharing the live, liking the live, sending those gifts. We do appreciate that. I didn't see those right away, and I got Nikita over here reminding me. So I do appreciate it. I tend to ramble sometimes and am not paying attention to the chat, trying to pay attention to the camera. But that's what I have Nikita for because she loves me. So, um, but yeah, so moving to barter is definitely a good idea. Just like I said, a reminder that you're not always going to be able to get everything on a barter in a trade. So don't try to move to, a cashless society or a moneyless society right away. Eventually, you can get there if you know the people, they have the farmland, you can grow your own food, or if they have farm animals, or if you hunt, or so there's a lot of things that you can do there. But right now you don't want to try to go to a barter trade system all at once because you're just going to create more problems for yourself. Everything has to be done strategically and one step at a time when it comes to clean, solid revolution where people actually are going to get through it and survive through it, and not only survive but thrive. Um, you know, I talked earlier about things like, thank you so much for that, Heart Me Margot. Um, I talked in the live stream earlier about shit, where was I going with this? Can't remember. Sorry, I'm tired today. I had a really long last couple of nights between my kids, my one kid having some issues and just everything going on. So my brain is a little tired. Communes are also popping up all over. Yep, the communes are definitely popping up. I know of a couple myself. We have one that's just north of here, about 45 miles. And then there is one near Chicago that I know about, and one in Denver that I know about. I left my job because my boss said my dog's life-threatening emergency wasn't worth missing work. That is unfortunate. Uh, you know, I would still seek unemployment for that because I don't think that they can, unless you had priors, I feel like that's something that you might be able to get life insurance for, or not life insurance, unemployment insurance for. So, oh yeah, and then there's one outside of Asheville. So the communes are, um, do you think doing too many of these people will be burned out? Well, so in terms of doing too many of them, we really only try to do the one a week. We have two a week to accommodate for the Southern Hemisphere. Because the last time, they were in at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. So that's why we're not trying to like do these every single day, because if we do them every single day, it will burn people out, 100%. People aren't used to that. And we're not definitely not trying to get people burned out about it. But we are going to continue to do the twice a week for the foreseeable future, or the twice every Saturday every week for the foreseeable future. Um, to basically just kind of keep people reminded that peace is a choice. But we're also not really like a leader of this. We are just trying to get people to see that they can make changes in their everyday life, and it only takes 5 minutes. um, we're, like I said, we're just a reminder. We do appreciate everybody that has followed us over the last month and a half. It's been a truly amazing experience, and we do want to continue to grow, because the idea is to eventually reach that 10% of the population overall in terms of what we do, and see them practicing peace regularly. Basically going back to, almost like everybody going to church on Sundays, but without an actual religion to follow. It's just the practice of peace, as best as we can. So I hope that answers your question, Yvette. I do appreciate you taking the time to share the stream. So, but yeah, so we're getting really close. We're 7 minutes away from the Great Synchronization, or from the weekly synchronization. So for those of you that are in here that don't know, for 5 minutes we will be chanting for those 5 minutes: peace, love, unity, respect. join in, tap the screen, write it in the chat, whatever you want to do. And we do that just to create a global moment of intention about the state of Washington, unfortunately. Just thought I'd bring it up because of the topic. Um, yeah, I mean, that's fair. Um, I don't know much about Washington right now. I've never been there. I've never done a whole lot of traveling, so barely go out of the house. I love that in the rave scene back in the 90s. Our motto was plur, any old, and so Nikita is a raver, my girlfriend, and um, so that's where we got the idea for the plur was from them. The EDM community and rave culture was meant to be inclusive. So when it first kind of started being built back in the 80s and 90s. So, and since it was one of those places that everybody was inclusive, it was just a good place for us to start. And it's relatable to people that are like my age, um, because we want to be able to as inclusive as possible. We actually have quite a large following of people that are above the age of like 35. I think most of the people that follow us are above of the age of 35. And man, I'll tell you what, some of the best stories that we've heard and some of the best videos have been from people that are in their 60s and 70s. And man, they just love this idea. Yep. So, there was a saying that if you want to know if something is trending, ask your grandma. And I'd be willing to bet you that more grandmas know about the Great Synchronization and participated in it than most movements. And that's what we were kind of, like I said, we were about being inclusive, when the people that are disabled. Oh, see, look at that. Yvette, she's 69. She's right there. And Mr. Madida, 59. See, so we have a good wide variety of people. Thank you for that, Rose Jessica. I do appreciate that. Um, in all different age ranges. We're starting to get some of the people in the 18 to 24 range. They're going to be a little bit harder because, they have shorter attention spans than the 5 minutes required and are kind of skeptical. But I slowly am reaching some of the younger crowd, and it's through some of the ways that I've been able to frame the idea of like collective consciousness. I don't go straight for the metaphysics. I don't go straight for the religion, for the spirituality. I talk about the science behind collective intention, the psychology, the sociology, because that's like real information that we can actually identify the studies, we can identify, what actually happened. And by framing it that way, I take all of those people that are skeptical of things like religion and mysticism, metaphysics. There's a lot of people that are skeptical, but if we can connect the two, if we can find a way of explaining what seems magical in ways that's actually understandable in reality, then we're more likely to have a success because belief is everything, and uh, you can't get through anything in life if you don't believe in something. So, and that's the message we're going to continue to try to portray. Sticking with the idea of collective consciousness, collective intention. Anything we do is going to be collectively, because we have a greater chance of impact if we do it at a large scale. So, and for all of the people in here, the ravers and stuff, we have played around the idea of trying to come up with a worldwide rave. Um, that's going to take some crafting and some very careful planning, but the worldwide rave would be one of those things that I think would go over really well um, with a lot of communities, considering how popular EDM is becoming, um, yeah, even here in America. So I'd be kind of interested to see if we could actually pull it off, where we kind of did a rave that bounced around the country, from like live stream to live stream, all part of, the same thing. It would just be a matter of, I don't know. It would be some logistics, but I know enough DJs and I know enough people around the globe that I think that we could get enough people to run 24 hours worth of DJing and music and electronic dance and vibes and really try to just have some fun with this. Because I'm gonna talk a lot about peace, but I'm not gonna lie, I really want to have fun with you guys. Like if I ever can get to a point where me and Nikita are making enough money through social media that we can start traveling around the world, like the idea is to actually try to meet as many people that we can that have been involved in this, because it would just be really cool to get to know everybody. Oh, Nikita's reminder, 2 minutes away. Um, so yeah, just know that that's ultimately our goal. We do want to try to help everybody grow, but we do want to interact with you guys. We want to meet you guys. So they synced up for the "We Are the World" song. I do remember that, the syncing up for the "We Are the World" song. Uh, Brady Duke. Oh, nice. We appreciate that. Mahalo. Super super happy that you guys came back for a second one. We're just under a minute away from this next peace, love, unity, respect. This 5 minute moment. You got to get ready. Mouth's dry from all the talking. But yeah, super excited. Hello, hey, how's it going, Crystal Keen? How are you today? Thanks for stopping in, Black Cat. Spreading the word to my spiritual friends. Wonderful. Yeah, and something else, if you're in the stream, for you to keep in mind, if you are holding any kind of events around the Great Synchronization or the idea behind the 5 minute pause, we do want to know about it, because we want to be able to build a place for people to find you that are also actively trying to participate, and help you develop the ideas. And, like I said, I'm not here to gatekeep. If you guys have questions that I can answer, I would love to be able to answer those. And then also, we will be setting up a new website, specifically uh,
Okay. Cool.
for me and public speaking. So, but it looks like the countdown is done. So we're going to go ahead and start this. So for 5 minutes, peace, love, unity, respect. Love, unity, respect.
Peace,
Peace,
love,
love,
unity,
unity, respect. Peace, love, 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 unity, respect. Unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, respect. Peace, love, unity, 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 love, unity, respect. Peace,
love,
love,
unity,
unity, respect. Peace, love,
unity,
unity, respect. Peace,
love,
love, unity,
unity,
respect. Peace,
love,
love,
unity,
unity,
respect.
respect.
Peace,
Peace,
love,
love,
unity,
unity,
respect.
respect. Peace,
Love,
love, unity. Peace,
love,
love, unity, respect. Peace,
love,
love, unity, respect.
peace,
Peace,
love,
love,
unity,
unity,
respect.
respect. Peace,
Love,
love,
unity,
unity,
respect.
respect. All right. That was amazing, guys. I actually, about halfway through, I could feel my body temperature content and know that we love squirrels and we do appreciate that. That was a lot. But yeah, I started getting really, really warm about halfway through, to the point I actually started sweating a little bit underneath my hat, which hasn't happened yet. We've done quite a few of these on live stream and uh, just like throwing squirrels. Well, you should actually go check out our page on TikTok. We do actually care for a bunch of squirrels. We have an albino one named Alice, who we've got quite a few videos. So if you do like squirrels, you should go check her out. She's pretty cute. So, but yeah, this was, an amazing, amazing experience. I'm actually super stoked. I see, there's 45 people watching on Instagram, which is, pretty, amazing turnout on Instagram. I think it's one of the larger ones that we've had on Instagram. So we do appreciate you guys for showing up. Yeah, I definitely am a little tingly in my fingertips too.
Mm-hmm.
So, focusing that energy onto something positive and just feeling it with everyone and seeing the energy of other people and how many people are actually actively involved in it is what makes this so wonderful and makes it feel so great. Thank you so much for that. Go Populous Sayonara. We appreciate that. Um, Welcome in, Jane. Yeah, thank you so much for all the taps. We appreciate you guys. And just to Oh, hey, Malcolm Edwards. I appreciate your follow today. I did follow you back. I am a fan of your work. I did check out your page today. So, yeah, I do appreciate the follow. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna do this every weekend. It's just just to, really continue this energy going around the world because I really think that the world could use it, especially with so much chaos and so much noise out there always being amplified. Oh, thank you so much for that hat and mustache on TikTok. We do appreciate that, Jane. And then, we also will be planning some bigger events. I had talked about the wave, which is coming May 16th, and that's a 24-hour wave of energy around the planet, 1 p.m. every single time zone. We're gonna do a 24-hour live stream. I will be live the entire 24 hours, starting at 6 p.m. Um, 6 p.m. I think it would be Central Time here in the United States on for that. And then, as always, we appreciate all of you that have gone to the website, have bought merch. The website's on the screen. Those of you that have Venmoed us, and have you been live since earlier? I just saw the wave post. So we haven't been live since earlier. We just do the two lives, and then some earlier today, to start getting people familiar with the idea. And then tomorrow I will do a post, an actual reel, and TikTok for everybody to share around with all the information. So, we appreciate. I did not work that very well. I live in Oregon, so what times? So for Oregon, it's always going to be 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. is the time of the sync. The live stream will start an hour before, so 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. for the or for the live stream to start. So but yeah, so we are going to be doing the wave. I'll do the video, and if you see it, watch the whole video, like it, comment on it, share it, because that's how we're going to continue to grow. Like I'd mentioned earlier, I'm going to do that is to ensure that people are watching our videos all the way through, commenting on them, liking them, and sharing them. It's a free way for everybody to support. If you do want to support in other ways, um, oh, thank you for that rose mouse. We do appreciate that. If you want to contribute other ways, there's always ways to um, help in terms of like making posters and things like that. Handing out flyers, whatever is your thing. We'll work on getting stickers on the website for people that want stickers. But for the most part, we just want to encourage people to try to get the word out there and spread the word, watch our videos, share the love, so that we can grow this and always keep this something free for it. We actually had a really decent turnout for the first PM one. You guys are amazing. Me and Nikita both appreciate everything you guys have. We will talk to you soon.